Hi, this is Matt, and you're listening to Bluegrass Jam Along, the podcast for anyone and everyone who plays bluegrass. Hey everybody, welcome back to Bluegrass Jam Along. I haven't done an episode for a couple of weeks, and that's largely because I've been on holiday and I've been busy, but I've got some great stuff coming in the next few weeks, so stick around for some really good interviews and some new tunes. But I've been thinking quite a bit about something Dan Tyminski said. A few things Dan said, actually, but he used the word, when I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago, the word react quite a bit. And it sort of stuck with me, and he was talking specifically about Tony Rice and how Tony not only played beautifully, but actually what made him amazing was the way he played in response to other people and how he reacted and how he sort of created a conversation between him and other musicians. And at the end of the interview, when we were talking about Dan's current band, he said he doesn't take a load of guitar breaks. He chooses to just enjoy reacting to what everybody else plays. And that was really interesting. And do go back, and I'll stick a link in the show notes. Go and listen to the interview with Dan if you missed it, because he's fascinating and a great guy and an inspiration to all of us. But it sort of got me thinking about some of the other threads of things we've talked about. Marcel Ardans from Lessons with Marcel, when I spoke to him, talked about Tony's rhythm playing and how, how Tony said he couldn't show his rhythm technique to anybody without other people present because it was so reliant on interaction and response and listening. And there've been so many conversations on the podcast about music as a conversation, and how a real conversation doesn't just involve you saying a load of stuff you know and then somebody else saying a load of stuff they know. It's about saying things and reacting and looping back to things somebody said before and digging in and sort of drawing things out, and a genuine two-way exchange of ideas. And music at its best is that. And it made me sort of, I'm aware that at times the things I know how to play, so I play them. And that's sort of the equivalent of just saying stuff in a conversation because you know it, rather than reacting or sort of, it's made me very aware that with the podcast, what I really, really strive to do with the interviews is not just ask some questions, get an answer, ask a question. I really try and listen to what people are saying and pick up on things and develop things and take them to places where they can express the things that are meaningful to them. And it's just sort of really sat with me, just that simple word of react and reacting. And this is not something sort of particularly new to me as a concept, but just the way Dan talked about it, I found very sort of deep and meaningful, and it's just sat with me. And maybe it's because I've not been so busy. I've been working. Suddenly I had a week's holiday and I didn't touch a guitar and I was away, and maybe just been mulling it over. But yeah, just a really, that idea that as musicians, maybe the most important thing we can do is listen to other musicians. And not focus so much on what we're trying to say, which is hard when you're learning and you don't necessarily have a huge amount of confidence in your technique and your ability to keep your end of the conversation up. But it's, it's one of those things, and it's one of those beautiful lessons in music and in life, I guess. But yeah, so that's just what's been in my head, and I wanted to share it because I think some of those moments, maybe it's personal to me, maybe it resonates with a lot of you, but it just feels like one of those themes that's come out of the podcast over the last year or so, and I wanted to share it with you. But that's it. Feeling a bit reflective, a bit thoughtful. Got some more stuff coming. Got some really cool interviews lined up, actually. Got an author, got a first bass player, which is great. It's a really exciting one. And also an IBMA nominated guitarist as well in September. So we've got those three coming up, which would be great. I will see you next time. Have a great week, a great weekend, and happy picking. Bluegrass Jam Along is proud to be sponsored by Collings Guitars and Mandolins, making some of the finest guitars and mandolins in the world since the 1970s. Visit collingsguitars.com and find out why.